Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I would like to ask everybody who can to please stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will now call the meeting to order. Please silence your cell phones if you haven't already. And I usually leave mine on. No, mine's off. For those of you who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the first time, we'll concern ourselves with cases that are on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by the professionals from the various departments in the county and to which there is no known opposition. We discussed them in our work session. We have staff comments added and stipulations, and we do not anticipate any further discussion needed for a decision. So as we go forward, our County Zoning Division Manager, John Peterson, will read each case into the record. And at that time, if someone is opposed to an item on consent, you can raise your hand when that case is called, and that case will then be moved off of the consent onto the regular agenda. We vote on consent cases all at one time, so once we have approved the cases on consent, we will move to our regular agenda. With that, we're ready to address the consent cases. Mr. Peterson, it's all yours.
And thank you, Madam Chair. Before we start consent, there are two cases on today's agenda which have been continued by staff, and these cases will not be heard today. First case is variance case V110 of 2023, Pulte Home Company, LLC. This case has been continued into the January 10th, 2024 variance hearing, so we're not going to hear V110 today. Also, variance case V128 of 2023, Leslie Peterson. This case was continued by the staff until the January 10th, 2024 variance hearing, so V128 will not be heard today. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for December 13th, 2023. First case on consent is variance case V117, Marcus T. Floyd, request a variance to number one, reduce the front setback from required 45 feet to 20 feet, and number two, allow the exposed portions of the proposed retaining walls as measured from the adjacent property owner's side of the exposed wall to exceed 6 feet in height when constructed to the heights shown within the distances specified at each location, which is shown between 1 foot and 47 feet in land lot 338 of the 20th District. The property is located on the northwest corner of Pindos Trail and Pindos Pass and on the east side of Pindos Place. Staff recommends approval, subject to number one, site plan revised November 28th, 2023. Number two, Cobb DOT revised comments dated December 6th, 2023. And number three, site plan review comments. The applicant's representative is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V117? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V120, Antonio A. Rodriguez requests a variance to number one, allow an accessory structure, which is an approximately 144 square foot shed-wood porch to be to the side of the principal building. And number two, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure, which is an approximately 144 square foot shed-wood porch from required 30 feet to 18 feet, which is existing, in land lot 486 of the 18th District. The property is located at the northern terminus of Grinder Drive, north of Blair Bridge Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to number one, development inspections comments, and number two, stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V120? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V122, Jeremy Lindsay requests a variance to number one, allow a second electrical meter on a residential lot, and number two, allow parking and or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface, which is a gravel drive to the barn, in land lot 464 in the 19th District. Property is located on the east side of Gus Robinson Road, north of Macklin Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, development inspections comments. Number 2, stormwater management comments. Number 3, fire department comments. And number 4, no dwelling use or commercial use except riding stable of the accessory building. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V122? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V123, Kevin Llewellyn and Sarah Llewellyn request a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a proposed 864 square foot garage, required 100 feet to 18 feet adjacent to the north property line, 6 feet adjacent to the east property line, and 82 feet adjacent to the west property line in land lot 319 of the 16th district. The property is located at the eastern terminus of South Point Court, east of North Point Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, stormwater management comments. Number 2, fire department comments. And number 3, cars may only be parked on a hardened surface. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V123? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V124, Laura Bryan requests a variance to number 1, reduce the side setbacks from required 5 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the north and south property lines, and that is an existing condition. Number 2, reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 20 feet. And number 3, increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 40% to 43.3% in land lot 72 of the 1st District. The property is located on the east side of Powers Place, south of Powers Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, development inspections comments. Number 2, site plan review comments. And number 3, stormwater management comments with an effective stormwater rate of 40% as approved by the Stormwater Management Division. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V124? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V125, Robert F. and Jean C. Williams Trust request a variance to number 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for an existing approximately 2,280 square foot barn from required 100 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the west property line, 35 feet adjacent to the north property line, and 30 feet adjacent to the west property line. And number 2, allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened treated surface, which is gravel, in land lot 164 of the 20th District. The property is located on the north side of Ellis Road, east of MacDobbs Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, traffic comments. Number 2, development inspections comments. And number 3, fire department comments. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V125? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V126, Amanda L. Donges requests a variance to number 1, increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 40% to 43%. And number 2, reduce the front setback from required 20 feet to 19 feet, which is existing, in land lot 697 of the 17th District. The property is located on the north side of Cheyenne Drive, west of Lander Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, site plan review comments. And number 2, stormwater management comments, subject to final approval by the stormwater management prior to the issuance of the building permit. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V126? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V127, Jennifer Doetry and John Doetry request a variance to allow pool equipment to be located to the side of the principal building rather than behind the building in land lots 332 and 389 of the 16th District. The property is located on the south side of Wood Run Trail and on the north side of Shallowford Road, east of Country Woods entrance. Staff recommends approval. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V127? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V129, Brian Fullerton requests a variance to increase the maximum impervious coverage from 35% to 41% in land lot 186 of the 16th District. The property is located at the southern terminus of Shaman's Drive, south of Shaman's Walk. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V129? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V130, Carolyn Sussman requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 28 feet in land lot 114 of the 16th District. The property is located at the northern terminus of Highland Plains Court, north of Mountain Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to site plan review comments, and number 2, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V130? No. Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V131, Marcia Champagne requests a variance to reduce the minor side setback from required 12 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the east property line and land lot 954 of the 17th District. The property is located on the southeast corner of Randall Farm Road and New Paces Ferry Road, west of Randall Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, traffic comments. Number 2, development inspections comments. Number 3, site plan review comments. And number 4, stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V131? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. V132, Christopher Hembry requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 35 feet to 24 feet in land lot 342 of the 20th District. The property is located at the western terminus of Meriton Court, south of Meriton Circle. Staff recommends approval, subject to number 1, site plan review comments, and number 2, stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Here. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V132? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V134, SH Creel Contracting requests a variance to number 1, allow an accessory use, which is a proposed pool and deck to be to the side of the principal building. And number 2, reduce the setback for a pool from required 5 feet to 1 foot, adjacent to the south property line and land lot 835 of the 17th District. The property is located at the southern terminus of Blue Canyon Court, south of Vinings Canyon Bend. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, traffic comments. Number 2, development inspections comments. And number 3, stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V134? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda. Madam Chair and Board.
Thank you. Does anyone up here have any questions?
Actually, additional stipulations, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead, please.
Thank you. Regarding V117, the applicant has agreed to 3 additional stipulations, and I have 3 photographs just to put in the record. The first photograph shows that there is a fair amount of foliage there, and the applicant has agreed to maintain this foliage to the fullest extent practical as they build retaining walls on the site. Second picture, the applicant has agreed when they build these retaining walls, one possible solution in building retaining walls is to use an architectural stone product such as this. Alternatively, they can use poured walls, provided that they do poured walls, they must have brick or stone veneers in all above ground visible retaining, on all above ground visible retaining walls. And third, there are to be no stamped walls that look like this. This is unfortunately a Cumberland CID solution that's often employed around roads in the CID, which I don't know which person came up with this idea for turning a poured wall into something that looks something like a stone wall, but I hope they didn't get an award for it. But nothing like this is to be used. Those are the additional agreed stipulations, correct? Thank you.
Anything else? Are we ready to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the additional stipulations as stated.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please place your votes. Motion passed, 100 majority. Also, if you were on consent, you're very welcome to leave now and have a lovely holiday season. And then we will address the other cases that are either held or regular cases.
Ready? Okay. Okay, first case we're going to hear is the one that's on the held and continued agenda. That's variance case of V101, Vahid Mohammadi. Request a variance to allow a fence to be more than 6 feet in height when in front of or to the side of the house in a residential district, and the fence is up to 8 feet in height, in land lots 147, 214, and 215 of the 16th district. The property is located on the west side of Norman Drive, south of Shiloh Road. Is the applicant present? The director of the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V101? One? Okay, let the record show there's one opposed. All those who wish to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
When you address the board, you each have 10 minutes to make your comments. When you come to the podium, please introduce yourself and state your address. Good afternoon.
Good
State your
afternoon.
name, and also remember, you have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Sure. As the last case, the board asked us to meet with
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Florim from...
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if you can ask the applicant to state his name for the record, please.
You need to state your name.
Oh, Vahid
Even though we've met you
Mohammadi?
before, we need to just have your name.
Sure, Vahid Mohammadi. Well, I represent my parents for this case. And what else did you need me? Just the name? Okay. So we met with Mrs. Florim and Mr. Heat from Stormwater. They gave us direction on how to fix the fence for the visibility. So we removed a section of the fence closest to the road, so the neighbor would have visibility, and the space between the fence, it was mulch and dirt in the middle, which Mr. Heat directed us to remove those so the water can flow under the fence. And it was two more issues when they came, the code enforcement came in. My parents had a boat parked in the backyard, which we moved to the concrete, and it was 2 posts on the side of the gate for the backyard, which were taller, which those were cut to the 6 feet height of the fence as well. I think that was all the issues was raised last time, which we did try our best to solve those. So if there's anything else we can do, we'll be happy to get it done to resolve this issue.
Thank you. If that's all, you may be seated.
What was that?
If that is, I'm sorry. If you've made your statement, you can be seated.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Just state your name, and you have 10 minutes.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Sherry Smith, and I'm here regarding case V101. I live next door to the applicant at 4727 Norman Drive. At the previous hearing, which I was unable to attend, this board informed the applicant that the work must be hired out and the swell had to be put back to its original state, which was a 6 to 7 foot of flat land that extended out from my fence towards the applicant's house. To date, the father has removed one fence panel, which is located nearest to the public street, which allows me to see while backing out of my driveway. However, the father informed me that he plans to replace that wood fence panel with a section of chain link fence and run the chain link fence across the front of his entire property. The father also removed some dirt from behind my fence with a 5-gallon bucket. But this leaves the dirt hill, which his fence is currently sitting on, exposed. This will cause further erosion issues, and dirt and rainwater will continue to drain into my backyard from his 8-foot fence sitting on top of a 2-foot of piled dirt. To put the swell back correctly, he will have to move his fence back 6 to 7 feet from my fence. I maintained and mowed the original 6 to 7 feet swell for 22 years. The applicant's fence is so close to my fence, now less than half a foot, it leaves me no room to access the backside of my fence to stain it or replace any bad boards. This leaves 2 sides of my fence I can no longer maintain, simply because I have no access. My now deceased husband and the applicant's son got into a heated argument a few months ago regarding the property lines. What is going on is not neighborly at all. I'm not certain if any of this going on is a result of that argument. Everything that is happening borders the menace law for the state of Georgia. In 1973, when the properties were surveyed before the houses were even built, the lines between the houses ran slanted. Since that time, property owners just wanted to square off their properties to make the houses look like they should fit on the property. The applicant found this out from the neighbor on their other side. The applicant's neighbor surveyed their property before they had put up their current 8-foot fence. Just because this neighbor did it, the applicant thinks he can too, even though it is against code. At that time, it was discovered that the applicant's neighbor's property line ran almost to the applicant's driveway, reducing the current width of their front yard. The applicant told that neighbor that they wanted the property line to run straight and to be where everyone thought the property line was. The applicant got the additional land. That brings us to my side. I also would like the property line to run straight. So having the applicant move the fence between our houses back 6 to 7 feet would put the swell back and make a straight line along my driveway. The applicant needs to be kept to the county code regarding fences and to fix stormwater and dirt issues. If the applicant wants something to block their view of my house, I suggest fast-growing evergreens instead of a fence. This would also be much nicer to look at instead of the current oversized fence that infringes on my property and fence. Please deny his request and have him fix the issues. Thank you, Sherry Smith.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? Okay, you may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
And this now closes the public hearing. If we have other questions, the members of the board will ask you to come up and address them.
All right, at this point, I would like to ask Andrew from Stormwater to come forward and discuss stormwater issues that have been brought up. Diane?
Hello, Andrew Heath, Cobb Stormwater Management.
All right, can you talk about the removal of the pine bark, I guess it was, and that it's not been completed all the way?
Right, yes. So I revisited the site last week, as I recall, last Thursday or Friday of last week, and the applicant has made some pretty good progress toward removing some of the soil and wood chips that are between the fence. It hasn't been, now that some has been removed, it's easier to see that there was a little bit more there than I thought there was, and so all of that hasn't quite been removed. In the lowest portion, the applicant has removed some of the soil and wood chips there, which will, I think, allow some drainage to go under the fence there. But certainly, I think continuing along the fence where the wood chips are up against, kind of sealing the bottom of the fence off, if the variance were approved, I think that work should continue and that should be removed. And the property line is in between the two fences at some point there. It's a little hard to tell when you're out in the field, but the soil that's passing down there really should be, in my opinion, should kind of be removed basically to approximately where that property line is, so that way, you know, at the property line, there's really no change between the two properties anymore. So.
Okay. Did you make the applicant aware when you visited that there were continuing issues?
I did not see the applicant. By chance, I ran into the neighbor next door when I was out there, but I didn't attempt to
Okay.
stop and talk to the applicant while I was there.
Okay.
So.
Do you have any comments regarding the swell issue that the neighbor brought up?
Yes, I mean, suppose it depends on your definition. To me, a definition of a swale is more of kind of a well-formed, kind of a flat ditch, you might say, that's collecting and conveying water. I think the area there along the side of that fence was, before any of the work was done, it was a more uniformly sloped area that kind of at a low point where water drained through. I think water it's definitely going to be able to make its way under the fence, kind of not maybe in an ideal situation, particularly unless a little bit more is removed there. But just from a stormwater management standpoint, I don't necessarily think that it's necessary to remove the material, you know, a long ways away from the fence. That area in that region is relatively flatly sloped, and it will probably make its way under there. But certainly there in that region that's very close to the property line, I think that should be continued to work on to be restored in that area, definitely.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
And then I think I can summarize for DOT that the recommendation from us would be, if there's any modification to your fence, if you add to it, extend it, do chain link, whatever, that you need to come back to the county for approval before you do so. But you did remove the section of the fence, and I know that the neighbor appreciates that to help with her visibility. And then code enforcement, I understand there were several new issues that came up recently, and you have fixed those. The one question I had was the large hill in the back of mulch or pine bark or something. What is that? I guess come forward and explain what that's about and what your plans are for that.
The mulch that my dad got, the grass on the property is St. Augustine, which they need to be plugged, so we can't plant seeds, and it's not the season. So my dad got the mulch and laid it down on the bare areas so the soil wouldn't be washed away until beginning of summer, when we can plug the new St. Augustine seed in the backyard area. So that's what the mulch is. My dad bought some mulch, pellet in the backyard, and whenever he has time with wheel and barrel, he goes and put it down on the bare area so the soil wouldn't wash away, basically.
Okay. Have you given any more thought to planting trees there where there's a visibility problem between your house and the neighbor's house?
On the front section, the reason I applied for the variance was my parents spend the money to build the fence, and it's gonna cost money to remove it. That's what we were asking if, I guess if we had, because the conversation we had with Mr. Kevin, they agreed on the fence, and some stuff changed afterwards. That's why we put the fence up. I talked to my dad. I asked him, if we don't have to remove the fence, we can maybe plant some trees on either side of the fence. If Ms. Sherry would like trees on her side, we can plant some trees so we will block the fence, or if she preferred for us to put it in our land, we don't mind putting trees on that along the side as well to resolve the issue and for them to be happy as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, given all of the factors regarding your case and the presentation here today, I do not see a hardship with your variance request, and I make a motion to deny it.
Second?
Is there any other questions? Okay, can you place your votes? Request denied.
So if I may ask you, what needs to be done now? So that section of the fence that's longer than 8 feet needs to be cut down to 6 feet, and as Mr. Heath mentioned, more dirt will be removed from the bottom of the fence.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that we need to get done?
I think that will take care of the issues.
He can certainly speak with code enforcement or.
Okay, yeah.
to
The
those.
lady right there by you is code enforcement, if you would like to discuss further with her.
Oh, perfect.
Okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much. Happy
Uh-huh.
holidays.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, next case is variance case V133, Villa Flor LLC, request a variance to allow an accessory structure, which is an approximately 77 square foot shed with plates to be located in front of the principal building in land lot 1189 of the 16th district. The property is located on the east side of Woodlawn Drive, north of Blackland Drive. The applicant's representative is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V133? Let the record show there's no one opposed.
State your name.
Good afternoon, Board. I'm Kevin Moore here on behalf of the applicant in this variance application, seeking a variance for an accessory structure to be located to the front of the primary structure, which is a home on Woodlawn Drive at 130 Woodlawn Drive. The accessory structure is actually a fake guardhouse type structure that is at the front of this house on Woodlawn Drive. And I'm going to do the presentation to show you where it's located on the as-built survey, as well as share some pictures with you so you can get some context for this request as well. A little bit about this home in Woodlawn Drive. On Woodlawn, many of the homes, a substantial majority of the homes that are along Woodlawn Drive have gates and gate features from their driveways from Woodlawn Drive, as does this home. In addition, one of the issues has been for this home, it was featured in a popular TV series or streaming series. So there are times when people come by and want to take pictures and that type of thing. So the owners did build this fake guard shack, which can be used. It's not used or manned, so to speak, 24/7.
Kevin,
but it could be.
you're pulling my stuff. You're not speaking quite loud enough, at least for me to hear.
Okay, great. I just didn't want to yell because I'm amplified. So, but I'll speak up if it's not coming through on the other side. It's hard for me to tell because it sounds very loud. Is that better?
Yeah.
For you?
Yes.
Great, super. Okay, so to continue, this particular home has been featured on a TV series that was very popular amongst the public. And so this house is sometimes people visit it to take a picture, to do that kind of thing. So it does have a gate. The fake guardhouse, while it is primarily, in the majority of the time, there's not a quote guard in it. It's just a fake house, but it can be used. It's a small 77 square foot structure in keeping with the style of the home. It's very attractive. It can be used if that gets out of hand as to be manned for that purposes, and it does have a gate as well. This was completed and built and constructed. The owner and even myself did not realize that a guardhouse as part of a gate structure would be considered an accessory structure. I didn't really think it would be, but I defer to Mr. Peterson on those types of interpretations. And from zoning staff standpoint, it would constitute an accessory structure, which is fine, which is why we're here for the variance. And so let me kind of give you some further context about where it is located at this property on Woodlawn Drive, as well as show you some pictures so you can get a real feel for what this is. This is the property, which is 130 Woodlawn Drive. This is Woodlawn Drive here. The structure that we're referencing is this small structure here, which is a fake guardhouse, 77 square feet in total. It's a small one-story, as you'll see. Guardhouse is what you would call it. Here's the driveway that comes in to the house for their driving parking area and feeding back to the garage. You can also see on the as-built there is a gate that ties into this as well. So that's the structure we're talking about. Because it's located to the front of the house, it does require a variance. So let's give you some pictures so you can really see what we're talking about. First, this is a picture of the small guardhouse. You can see that it's nicely done, very attractive. This is the gate here that opens up to the driveway that comes in so that it can be manned if necessary. But like I said, the majority of the time it's not, but it does serve as somewhat of a deterrent for folks that want to try to pull in or something to that nature. I also thought it was important so that you could see in terms of impact to surrounding properties. So there's a couple of pictures I want to share with you to give you some further context. This is taken from Woodlawn Drive. This is the driveway as it pulls down. That's the actual roof of the structure. You can see barely through the trees here. There's the gate, and you can kind of see where it sits there. But the thing you don't notice is that you really can't see. You have to kind of look for it. It really is not noticeable. This picture was taken this morning, so this is not during full spring or summer bloom of trees and so forth. And you can kind of just see it barely hidden behind there at that location on the drive. And then addition from another angle, again, from Woodlawn, and that's the sidewalk. You can see the variance sign look here, and you can just now see that back corner of that very small fake guardhouse that's located there. Again, it's very well hidden until you actually pull into the driveway and to the gate, and then it's sitting right there. But it doesn't impose any sort of impact or adverse impact or visual impact on either Woodlawn Drive or any of the neighbors on either side or across the street. So lastly, we do think this is an appropriate variance. In this instance, given this home and the security measures that are there, it does enhance that from that standpoint, does provide for an additional deterrent and can provide for a further deterrent if it's manned at any point in time to deter folks from unnecessarily coming in when they shouldn't be. Beyond that, it does not impact at all. It certainly doesn't have any negative impact on the visual aesthetics of Woodlawn Drive or from either neighbors on either side or from directly across the street, as it really, as you can see by the pictures, cannot be seen. It's a very attractive, very small structure that is in keeping with the house and certainly in keeping with the surrounding area, which is very nice. With that, I'm here to answer any questions and respectfully request your approval of the variance request. Thank you.
Sorry. Please be seated at this point in time, and we'll call you back up.
Certainly. Thank you. Here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Since this is my case, I'd like to call Yolisa Faustin from Code Enforcement, please.
Good afternoon, Yolisa Faustin, Cobb County Code Enforcement.
Yolisa, can you please give us the information with regards to the various citations that have been issued on this property?
We started when March 15th of 2022, we received a complaint that the property was zoned for single-family residential and that they were having events that weren't permitted at the property. We've also received complaints about the property being used for the events and the structures, and also the property being rented out for short-term rental use. So we've issued quite a few notice of violations. We issued one for permitted use assembly hall, as they're not allowed to have these events at the property. We've issued notice for accessory structure. The structures that's being referred to today is at the front of the property, and the ordinance states that all structures are to be placed at the rear of the primary structure. They also have a notice of violation for short-term rentals. The property is being rented out as an Airbnb, and they did not have a short-term rental certificate, which is required from business license. They did obtain the certificate, and it does expire December 31st of 2023. So they would have to renew it to continue operating the Airbnb at the property. They also received a write-up for customary home occupation, which lined up with the permitted uses assembly hall for the events. When you go online and Google the property, you can see that they are having tours there. They're having, they advertise for weddings. They advertise for any different types of events where you get tickets. And the issue with the accessory structure is it's being used as a guardhouse because Netflix series Cobra Kai is being filmed there. I met with Economic and Development this morning to find out about filming permits and requirements. I was advised that during the time frame that they were filming, they failed to obtain the appropriate filming permits from the county. And also, when you apply for a film permit, the application is forwarded to Cobb Police, the DOT, and also the fire marshal. Once the police department reviews the application, they decide if you need law enforcement present during filming, so that way they can control traffic, since that's a two-lane street. So with them failing to not have a permit, there will not be Cobb PD present, and they have that security booth, which everything they're doing at the property is not permitted besides the short-term rentals. I spoke with business license today. They did not have any active business license at that property. They are allowed under the short-term rental certificate. They're allowed to have 15 adults at the property, and only 5 vehicles are allowed to be parked outside of the garage or carport. They have had events where they have had a lot of vehicles at the property, which was more than the 5 that the county allows.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore, can you come back for one quick question? I just wanted a question on this. You stated that there was a gate or a fence. Is it gated? Does it have a gate that you can swing it, shut it, lock it?
Yes, it does.
There is. Okay.
Yes, there is a
Okay.
gate that can be shut and locked. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
So I'm ready to make my motion. I believe that based upon all the evidence that was presented by the applicant, and as well as the various events that are happening on this property that was presented by our code enforcement officer, that there's really a lack of demonstrated hardship. So at this point, I make a motion to deny the removal of the accessory structure in front of the primary structure, and it will be removed in 15 calendar days.
Do I
Do you have a second?
have a second? Yeah,
I second.
okay, all right. Anybody have any other questions? Oh, all right, place your votes. All right, motion to deny. It's passed. Thank you.
Okay, and the last item on today's agenda is your other business item to adopt your resolution for the dates and times of your 2024 variance hearings.
Okay. Do we need to read the entire document into the record? No, okay. All right.
Madam Chair, move to adopt the variance hearing dates as published.
I second it.
Second. Please place your votes. Resolution is passed. Now we have a little bit more homework to do. Have you all had time to review the minutes of the variance hearing on November 15th?
Yeah, Madam Chair, move to adopt the November 15th, 2023 minutes as written by the clerk.
I second.
All in favor, please? The minutes from November 15th are approved. Now we need to approve the minutes from the special call meeting.
Of the special called meeting, and as just a point of privilege, let me just say, so I don't get in trouble, that the vast majority of everything the Cumberland CID has done is beautiful, and I didn't mean to infer anything to the contrary.
I second
In the
it.
minutes you're referencing are from the December 11th meeting.
December 11th.
Yes, December 11th, thank you.
Okay,
I second.
yeah. Please place your votes. Okay, that passes. And before we adjourn, I just want to thank the staff this year. Y'all have been tremendous, and I've got a great team up here with me, and I thank all of y'all. And I look forward to next year, and y'all have a wonderful holiday and a very happy and successful new year. With that, I'll attend. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All right, all in favor of adjournment? Thank you. We stand adjourned.